This is Ben.
And this is Jeremy.
And you're listening to Town Stoics. So, I had an interesting question posed to me the other day that I thought you might enjoy, and it'd be a good topic for us to talk about. I was talking to a buddy at work about the podcast and trying to spread the word, get people to listen, stuff like that. And he was like, "Why should I listen to you?" And he was being a dick because we're buddies, and that's what dicks do. That's what buddies do. But then I got thinking, I was like, kind of honestly true. Like, why should people, devote an hour, hour and a half each episode to listen to two hillbillies from Southern Oklahoma talk about stuff? And so I thought, the last couple of weeks we've talked about our life influences, parents, sports, books, music, stuff like that. I thought an interesting thing to talk about this week would be, really more about who we are right now and why we're doing a podcast and why people should listen to us, and then kind of lead that into a discussion about like intelligence, knowledge, things like that, because for both of us, that's a big thing, like that hunt for knowledge. I heard it the other day on a debate between two officers, and I work for the military, so I was listening to two officers talking, and one of them said, "I'd much rather be correct than right."
Sure, yeah.
And I thought, holy shit, that's genius. Because how many times have you seen people they just argue their point because they want to be right, but they're not willing to change their point to present the facts to show that they're incorrect. And so that got me thinking about that. So, anyways.
That's a very interesting quote.
It is.
You never really give that a thought when you're in a discussion or a debate with someone. There's always that quest to be right. It's never, am I factually correct? It's more of like an intimidation factor for the other side. It's like, no, this is how it is, and you need to see it my way.
Yeah.
To be correct. I like that. I like that a lot, and that's very thought invoking.
Yeah, it was really. I'm enlisted. I'm an E6 staff sergeant, and I was really surprised to hear it from an officer.
Well,
I know they're supposed to be the college educated amongst us, but usually two lieutenants talking, you get lieutenant type conversations.
I'm sure he picked it up somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure. But that's how knowledge is transferred. There's original thought, but there's not really like original thought in the true sense. Everything is, you've heard it somewhere before, and maybe it's been altered because of your experiences, or or you're transferring knowledge in one section to something else, and so it's an original thought over here.
Yeah.
But really, if you think about it, humans are 1.5 million years around.
Yeah.
There's probably not a lot of original thinking going on. It's just new thinking.
It's ever evolving thinking. I look at it as same concept, new idea. That it's kind of an oxymoron of things, but even now, as things have gone, there's more technology and more information available at your fingertips.
Yeah.
A lot of the older ideas are starting to come back because people are doing a little bit of homework, a little bit of research. Getting into the old writings and the old ways of doing things and stuff like that. A lot of stuff is starting to make those weird comebacks.
Yeah. What's that quote? What is old is new again?
Yeah. Like records are coming back. What's next? Fucking 8-track? Seriously.
I don't know about that.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I hated records. I fucking hate it. I'm sorry to you vinyl heads, they just don't work for me.
I like record covers.
The covers and albums are beautiful,
Yeah.
and then you
I like the art.
But they're a pain in the ass to play, and if you fart on this thing, it's fucking toast.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I've got 3 records in my attic, and the only reason I have them is because of the album art. There's
they're enormous.
And I don't have anything to play them on.
No.
I got a Frank record. It's pretty cool looking. It's Frank sitting on a stool. It's just a cool looking picture. I've got a band I don't even know the name of. It's just basically like some scenery.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool looking. And then I've got a band. Have you ever heard of the Average White Band?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I have all the album is basically a picture of a girl from about collarbone to belly button in a green T-shirt that says the Average White Band.
Well, that's
I bought it
pretty
at a pawn shop when I was like 18.
Well, something like that you can't turn down. Especially you probably got it for a quarter.
Yeah, I paid pretty cheap for it.
The coolest vinyl that I've ever seen was my dad had it. he gave it to my buddy, which is cool because my buddy's a vinyl junkie.
Mm-hmm.
But it was an original pressing Elvis Aloha from Hawaii, which doesn't sound like much. I mean,
Yeah.
the cover sucks. The cover is complete shit. Because it's just Elvis in the rhinestone suit. You know, this is disco era Elvis, so like the chest thing is exposed, the big stupid hair, the whole that shit. But the record itself was the prize in there because it was clear blue vinyl. So now that's not such a big deal because you see a lot of records like that now. You know, you see like blood splashes and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
But this thing was clear blue vinyl, and it was like, I think it was like a 77, 76, 5, whatever. It's a couple years before Elvis died, so it was fat, ugly Elvis on the cover, but the most beautiful vinyl record you've ever seen. And it was crystal clear, but it was blue. I guess it was supposed to be ocean water, but anyway.
I can see that with the Elvis vibe.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, throw the cover away and just keep the record, you know. But yeah, you know, it's people change, and then it's the old adage, history repeats itself. I think is what's happening. There's not a lot of exchange of ideas. It's an old idea, but let's improve on something.
Yeah.
Which needs to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you have to evolve, change. And that's me. I mean, I get dead set on things, but like if I get presented with the facts, I mean, it's a pain in the ass. But yeah, you're wrong, dude. You need to go back and do a little homework on that.
Yeah.
But
I try to have a really scientific mind when it comes to stuff. If you present me with evidence I'm wrong, I'll change my mind. I've got no problem with it. The only thing I won't is if I think something is morally right, it doesn't matter what you show me, I'm probably not changing my mind.
well,
You know what I mean?
That comes down. That's a different thing, though. I mean, you know, morality is what makes us human. You know, you have to be compassionate. You see a situation, it's like, look, it's right that, you know, we're totally just made up shit here. You know, we're gonna have to cut this guy's big toe off. You know, he's just an asshole, so we're gonna cut his toe off. And, you know, well, we're right about this, but, you know, the morality of it is probably not. You know, people are going to be stuck on this for centuries, and, you know, this is how we've always done it, so this is what we're going to do. Then, you know, you present it with, you know, the guy needs that to walk. So there's the morality of it and the compassion that you have to gain and learn.
Yeah. We're filming our first one, and I apparently bought a cup that has a sealable lid that's not fucking sealed. It won't seal. And so I'm dribbling on myself like a small child.
I can hear it rattling as it goes by.
So those of you that are listening, you're going to hear a drink every now and then. I'm drinking whiskey and Coke, and there's a little bit of ice in it, and the sealable lid did not seal, and so I'm leaking every
So
time.
we got
I
a
take
great
drink.
video of
Yeah,
a mess.
shit all down. It's the first one we've really ever videoed, and so I got shit all down from my shirt now. So, but this is us.
Well, this is why you should listen to us, because we're very average.
Yeah.
You know, we're the average man opinion.
Yeah.
That's why. If you want to get facts from some people that are not experts in anything, here you go.
Yeah. We're I like the quote, just smart enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where I stay. It's like I'm just smart enough to really understand ideas, but not intelligent enough to like go out and make millions of dollars writing books or on the talk circuit and things like that. And but I'm just smart enough to where I can understand a broad spectrum of concepts.
Well, yeah.
Except for technology, which I'm a caveman on.
Well,
so
same here. I can't.
You should have seen us first. Really, me, Jeremy just sat around and laughed at me.
Well,
wandered around for 30 minutes while I tried to hook all this stuff up with the new swing arms.
The reason that I didn't touch it is because I know less than he does, so that there was no reason in getting two cavemen involved in this situation.
Yeah, my gorilla beat me with a stick.
Well, you know,
my brother got all the tech savvy. So
I don't know who did on my family because it damn sure wasn't me.
But my brother's one of those people that like he could probably make a toaster into a radio. Like he's just good at it.
He's the professor on Gilligan's Island, eh?
Probably.
With these coconut radios.
He probably could. But that goes back to like the whole like intelligence thing. Is I think that's where I get frustrated with a lot of people is there's this common misunderstanding of what intelligence is. And everybody, if you talk to a normal person on the street, they look at intelligence as like the guy that made a 4-point in high school and college.
Mm.
You know, like the book smart intelligence.
Yeah.
And so if you don't fit that description for them, then automatically your IQ is got to be lower than genius level, you know, or you know, it's along that line. It's like it's all about book smart.
Yeah.
But like, how many guys do we know down here that can take an old pile of just shit rusted car, and with a screwdriver and a wrench, you know, turn it into a race car and go dirt track racing?
Yeah,
Like
I
they're
mean,
like just geniuses with cars or with music or.
well,
And
yeah,
so-
I know there's several people that I can think of that like probably couldn't read you the headline on a newspaper,
Mhm.
but like they are MacGyver with their hands. You
Yeah.
know, they could build and create and do some of the most fantastic things in the world, you know, even with art or,
Mhm.
or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, you know, building a car out of this table here.
Yeah.
And it'd be fully functional and, you know, 100%, but couldn't tell you who wrote, you know, the Iliad or the Odyssey or something
Mhm.
like that, you know. To me, it's a value of where that knowledge comes from, you know. You look at that, because there's people that don't know that shit themselves, so they're like, oh, that dude's got to be smart. I guess it's just, you apply, what the hell was that?
My virus protection on my computer just turned on.
Well, hopefully that
Telling me
didn't,
to update.
hopefully that didn't record in the thing. 'Cause
It
I
probably did.
Sure heard
If
it.
you heard something sound like a doorbell, I need to update my virus protection.
Oh, this is going to be a bad podcast.
It'll be great. This is the exact podcast people need to listen to and understand why they like. So, why they need to listen to us and why we're different. So
Totally lost my train of thought when that thing.
I was talking to a good buddy of mine, John Elmer, and he's been listening to the podcast and he sends me, hey, here's what I really liked. Here's, you know, hey, y'all sounded mumble like the one we did last week
Mhm.
over the music and the books and influence and
Yeah.
stuff. He said, hey, towards the end, both of you started kind of mumbling a little bit, and I was like, well, I can see how that happened. You got to understand that was the end of a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah, and
we
we're
were
sitting in
and-
lawn chairs.
And neither one of us are used to talking about the same thing to just each other for
And
2 hours.
And
There's like an endurance to it.
at that point too, we had the old mic stands.
Yes.
The old mic stands are incredibly uncomfortable because you can sit in a lawn chair, which is comfortable. Don't get me wrong, but you cannot fucking get close enough to the mic with these things. So you have to sit somewhat uncomfortably in that lawn chair, and that shit went on for 2+ hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, toward the end was a little beat. I mean, I was ready to lay down. So sorry.
But
No. Let me take that back. I appreciate the criticisms. If he hears this
Yeah.
one, thank you for the criticism. We'll try to clean that up.
well, but we were talking about why I was doing the podcast and what our goal was with it.
Yeah.
And I was telling him really like it's just, you know, if some people listen, great. If people don't listen, great. Like, I mean, you get to sit around and bullshit for 2 hours, which is something we do anyways. So why not record it and put it on the internet?
Yeah, for sure.
But I was telling him like one of the not a mentor, but or a goal, but someone I wanted to emulate with the style of podcasting
Yeah.
was the Joe Rogan Show.
Sure.
And I told him that I told you that the ideal like in my mind the podcast would be like the episode where it was Joe Rogan and Jocko Willink.
Yeah.
And you know they're just basically they're two ends of the political spectrum, but they're really good friends because they have found common ground and interest and stuff. And it's just open discussion, you know, nothing's taboo.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you can't be Joe Rogan. I said, well, obviously I'm not going to be Joe Rogan. I don't, you know, commentate for USC. I'm not a stand-up comic. I don't know lots and lots of famous people. But two dudes sitting in a loft, you know, surrounded by sports stuff, you know, talking about society and bringing in guests that have differing viewpoints and things
Yeah.
like that. That's something that in my mind in our society we've lost, is that ability to have a discussion with someone that you don't agree with at all, but have a discussion and not just resort to trolling or yelling and screaming and
Well, a
name
lot
call
of that-
or automatic dismissal.
A lot of that nowadays too, though, has become because you're not going to get those two individuals in the same room.
Yes.
Because a lot of the discussion that you're talking about happens over social media.
Mhm.
So, you know, you're going to be a brave motherfucker behind the keyboard. You're going to
Oh, yeah.
say some shit that you would not dare say to somebody's face. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, open discussion has died, and I think that's the biggest reason why is because people don't do it.
Mhm.
either you're intimidated to sit down with somebody, or you think you already have a preconceived notion that this dude's going to be a complete total dickhead. I don't want to speak to him. I don't want to sit in the same room with him. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, it's dead.
Yeah.
And there's so many factors to blame in that, but the main two is preconceived notions and social media, because social media makes it so much easier. I can call you an asshole from my toilet, and I don't have to worry about consequences if you like coming across the table or something, you know?
Speaking of that, did you see, because last week or the week before, some UFC commentator that used to be a fighter made some comments that some guy disagreed with on Facebook or something about a fight, and the guy basically said, you're a better fighter than you are commentator, and you were a shit fighter, or something to that effect.
Oh.
You're making fun of him and, like, you know, disagreeing with him being mean. And the commentator was like, you wouldn't say that shit to my face. You'll do it over the internet, though. And the guy replied, yeah, because you kicked my ass in real life. And the commentator guy was like, that's fair enough.
Well, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
at least the other guy admitted it. Like, yeah, absolutely, I'm mad with you on the internet, because in real life, you punch me in the face and it hurt a lot.
Yeah, it's easy to say talk shit 3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing, you know. So therefore, you can just get as many memes thrown your way as you can throw, and pictures of whatever the fuck you want to send them and shit. And they're like, yeah, buddy, fuck you, I won. But no, there's no cordial discussion anymore. There's no sit down, let's talk about this. You know, just like the podcast we did with Cece. I mean, a lot of people would have disagreed with a lot of shit that we said and done, but we would have never got them in this room to do it.
No,
You know?
yeah.
It would have,
Well-
would have never have happened.
I almost disagree with you on that topic, because I feel like based on where we live and how we look and stuff, that a lot of people would have come on thinking that we were going to be on their side and it was going to be against CC. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like we were going to be much more on that side of the aisle than the side that both of us are on. And so we might have got him here, but about 10, 15 minutes in, they'd have figured out what's going on, and they'd been like, hey, I got to go.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You
no, I
wouldn't-
get what you're saying, but I think that it's funny that that's based on just, you know, geographic location, how the two of us look.
Well, that's-
A lot of people immediately assume that we're on, you know, one side of the aisle or the other without ever listening to anything we say or looking at how we talk or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. The old judging the book by a cover, and that happens too much and too often, and it's not fair, really. It's not fair at all.
No.
You know, it happens to me a lot, and people will come up and just automatically assume, you know, and that just gets all over. And then you don't want to be a dick to these people.
Yeah.
Or you don't want to come off as a dick, you know. But what are you gonna do? I mean, sometimes you just have to, because you're like, no, man, no, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's. I don't even know. I'm searching for the word, but I don't know what it is. But it's sad. Sad
disappointing.
is what I'm looking for, because, I mean, you know, like you watch those old news shows from the 60s and 70s, and you see those guys get together and stuff like that. And then, of course, I guess nowadays the closest thing you'll get is Bill Maher. Now, granted, Bill Maher is a shithead, but the dude does bring people onto his show that are completely opposite end of the spectrum. I mean, he had Dan Crenshaw on there.
Yeah.
And he's had, I can't even remember some of the big names, but some very prominent conservative figures. You know, the dude puts his money where his mouth is. You know, he's going to be like, yeah, motherfucker, here they are. Let's hash it out. You know, so I think that pretty much is the only thing I can think of, other than Joe Rogan. You know, because Joe Rogan had Bernie Sanders on one day, and
well, and listening to him, he is much more economically on the Bernie Sanders side of the deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's had there's a podcaster with him, Jocko Willenick, who's an ex-Navy SEAL guy, and I went blank. I was gonna vote for her if she ran for president, if she got the nomination.
Tulsi
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's, you talk about opposite ends of the spectrum. She's a huge Bernie supporter.
Yeah.
You know, and listening to them, they agree on 98%.
Well, that's the thing is when you get them in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the individual is not the problem. I think it's the mass behind the individual. Because they want to paint their guy as this rogue maverick, we're going to change the world and all this bullshit. And it's like, man, there's a lot of common ground that can be met here.
Yeah.
And that's...
Well, and one of the things that's frustrated me recently with, and it's on social media mostly that you see it, but the media's involved, is you post something, and you'll post like a direct quote or something, or you'll talk about a candidate or something political, and to refute you, people will post news articles about the person. And then you'll read the article, because I read everything that gets posted, because I want to know if I'm wrong. And you can tell immediately they're leaving out like 90% of the context of what the quote is. They're framing the narrative exactly how they want you to read it. And so then you'll tell someone, hey, that's not what they said. You need to go watch this interview or this podcast where they go in depth in this idea, and I think you'll actually agree with them. And then they'll post 3 or 4 more news articles about, something, and then you're like, no, you need to go listen to what the person actually says. Get it straight from them. Don't get the filtered version from the media. Well, but nobody, you'll watch 6 hours of cartoons or, The Bachelor or Food Network, but nobody will go watch a 30-minute interview to see if they're actually right or not.
There's no entertainment value there. Yeah. And plus, the hardest thing in the world is to admit you're wrong.
Yeah. And
people don't want to do that, especially after a 2-day Facebook battle. Then you have to go back and go like, yeah, you're down on it, you got it. Because, but here, you're going back to the media thing. I don't blame them for doing that shit, because they're in the business of selling articles. They're in the business of getting people to read their shit. So, if they can throw some half-hearted shit in there, quotes, to beef it up and fit a narrative, to get more readership and pander to those type people, then yeah, I get it. But, you know me, I'm the consummate research guy. Like, I hear stuff, I'm like, ooh, yeah, okay. Just like the Black Lives Matter thing. You hear, there's all these militants and all this bullshit, and I'm like, hang on a second. All this property destruction. Let's go take a gander. Let's get a closer look. Then you read up on it, and it's like, they spray painted something on a wall. Yeah. Like, holy shit. My kid did that right outside my house here, so he's a militant. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we'll paint that picture because that's what they want to pander to. Is that the Fox News group or whatever, Or like the lady, the hydroxychloroquine doctor lady. As soon as I saw that video,
are you talking about the demon seed lady?
The demon semen lady. Okay, so immediately, it was demon semen.
That makes more sense now.
And so immediately, I see this woman, and I'm like, okay, the video looked legit. They all had lab coats with fancy name patches, and I'm like, okay, well, they generally give those to doctors, so let's do some research. Get the woman's name. The first fucking thing that comes up is her standing in a pulpit talking about how sex with demons in your dreams causes endometriosis. Right then and there, that came from the horse's mouth. Your credibility is gone. 1,000%.
Oh, yeah.
It's over. And then you read a little deeper, she talks about alien DNA. And I'm like, oh shit, she's one of those people. And then it's just crazy. So I'm like, all right, immediately you're discredited. I don't even have to say anything. You'll take care of yourself. Yeah. So that's the benefit of research. But people don't want to do that. People are still touting that shit like it's fact. People are still touting that video like they're censoring her. They're not. They're not giving a crazy person a platform. Yeah. Because people will listen and people will do whatever she says. If she says you need to cram 6 sticks of celery up your ass, that'll keep you from getting COVID. I'm sure that some dickhead out there's like, well, better head to the grocery. Yeah. This
Sort of plays into what we're talking about, but it kind of does it too. But it's a pet peeve of mine that just fucking drives me insane. Is the number of people that scream First Amendment rights. Oh, yeah. And like, for
Freedom of
clarification.
speech. Freedom of speech.
Yes. Freedom of speech protects you from the government coming to your house and throwing you in prison because you spoke out against them.
Or because of your religion,
Yes.
or because you're protesting,
And so,
or any of that.
Yeah, and it covers speech, it covers print, it covers the internet, because I'm a firm believer that the Constitution's a living document. They didn't know the internet was going to exist when it wrote. It still fucking covers it.
Pretty much.
It does not protect you from a private company deciding, hey, you know what? We're not going to let some lady that talks about demon semen and sex with demons in the dream causing medical things to spread false information. Now, I also, on the flip side of that, though, that same public place, Facebook, does have a complete history of censoring conservative group sites, because Mark Zuckerberg and the people that own it are liberal leaning in politics. And so, but people need to understand that's everything. Fox News is fucking not telling you the liberal side of the story because they're a conservative news side, you know?
Well, the thing too about Facebook though, I mean, a lot of the shit, if you go and research some of the groups that they've blocked, they're fucking nut bars, man.
Well, some of them, yes, and some of them need to be blocked. Like, you know, I am not a big fan of fucking Nazis, obviously. And so if you want to have a Nazi Facebook group and spread hate and fucking vile and shit like that, motherfuckers should be blocked and turned off.
But you know who, they fall under the conservative, yeah.
They fall under the right-wing crazy people.
Oh, who do the right-wingers vote for? Conservatives.
No,
how many right-wing dudes are going to vote for Bernie Sanders? You name me one.
No, you're
Name
not
me
wrong.
one.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
But conservatives don't fall under right-wingers.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
but that's
that
what like
that's
a lot
where
of,
these dudes are. That's the bunch that they're falling in
well,
with,
yes,
though.
but a lot of people automatically group, oh, you're a conservative, you're one of them crazy Nazi folk. And so,
Well, no.
while there is the crazy right wing of the conservative group, not all of them are in that group. Most of them are centralist.
Yeah,
You
true.
know, it's the same as the
But-
crazy left people that want, you know, either anarchy or totalitarian government. You know, most liberals and Democrats don't fall into that group. That's just a little minority. They're just really fucking loud.
Well, the thing too, though, I mean, if you look at guys like Alex Jones, social media has let this motherfucker go for years.
Mm.
Just for that thing, that very First Amendment right. You know, that's what they're claiming. Anyway.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You know, because you hear the same shit on the other way. And Bill Maher talks about this. He's like, let him talk. You know, I talk, let him talk. But don't be surprised when this dude starts getting his ass sued off for shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the whole Sandy Hook was a hoax thing.
Yes.
You know,
And
let
so
him talk.
That's my deal with it. Is like everybody should have the ability, you know, unless you're making threats. You know,
Well,
or
yeah.
you're
Terroristic threats are a different thing.
You're not policing, preaching violence and stuff like that. But like, if you're just an idiot with a microphone like us,
Yeah.
like, let them talk. Like, 'cause here's what's going to happen. Yeah, they'll get a following, like Alex Jones has a following, but 95% of America looks at that dude and he's like, you're crazy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then everybody that follows him and quotes him, you're like, oh, you're one of those people. I know who you are now.
Yeah.
Okay? So
Yeah.
like, let them fucking talk
Well,
about
see,
it
that's
now.
the thing about freedom of speech, though. It's freedom of speech, yes, but it's not freedom from consequence.
Yes.
You know, that's the part that people need to understand. It's like, look, just because you can say whatever you want,
Yeah.
doesn't mean I can't think you're an asshole for saying that.
Yes.
You know, and that doesn't mean I can't say,
Well-
hey, you know what, you're fucking out of here.
And the other thing that, like, it drives me nuts on this is, like, if you get your news from Facebook, you have a fucking problem. Like, Facebook was invented, social media was invented so that, you know, you could stay in contact with your friends.
It's a toy.
Yes, it wasn't meant to be, originally, it wasn't meant to be a news source or anything like that. Now, it's turned into that way because that's how, like you said earlier, that's how you make money. You sell ads. And how do you sell ads? You sell fear,
Well, the
you
thing
sell
too
sex, you sell, you know,
Is the print media's gone.
yes.
There's no newspapers anymore.
And nobody is taking advantage of, like, nobody has mastered that transition from print media to internet media, like, without going biasness in one way or the other. There's no, like, used to, you know, the newspaper was the newspaper.
Well, if
with
there
editorials.
is, it's buried.
Yes. No, yeah. That's why nobody's taking, like,
You know, you see some.
prominence in it.
You'll see some Washington Post articles that are editorials, and you'll see New York Times articles that are editorials. But I'm gonna say 7 times out of 10, that shit gets buried because it's something one way or the other will pop up, and then where I notice it most is on Twitter. I don't know if you Twitter or not.
No, I can't do Twitter.
Well, see, I don't have any followers because I don't tell anybody I'm on that shit because I'm a watcher there.
Yeah.
Because, and I find that it's pretty wild because I follow, just people that I totally respect and then a shitload of people I don't. That way I can get both sides of the story.
Oh yeah, you have to do it that way.
Well, you'll be scrolling through there and you'll see a Washington Post article that's say a pro-Trump article or whatever, and you're like, what the fuck? Can you back it up? That's what you catch it. You're like, who is this fucking? And then you do research on the ground, like, this is an editorial. Because now, luckily, they've started editing it and they put opinion on there.
Oh, do they now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So, because a lot of people were spreading that as like, this is news, this is what's happening. And it's clearly, like, I had to back up, and it happened to me several times. Back up, okay, see who wrote it, then go be myself, the consummate research gentleman, go in there and figure out who this dude is, and then I realize, oh, this is a fucking opinion piece. Because now they'll label it. That way, because when I'm on Twitter, I'm not going to fucking open every article that flies by. Follow, I think like 400 people, 400 topics. So there's a lot of shit comes by.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop and read every fucking one of them. Especially the Washington Post ones. Those piss me off so bad. I have to go and clear my browser every time. And perhaps I should just buy a subscription, Yeah. But I'm a cheap bastard.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I went on an unfollowing binge the other day on Facebook because I realized how many newspapers and like news sites I was following that where you got like 10 free articles and you had to start paying.
That's Washington Post.
Yeah, and so like I probably stopped following like 8 or 9 places because I learned I couldn't view articles anymore. So
I figured out a way around that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Luckily, on the comment section of the very article, it's like, dude, just dump your internet cache, restart the browser, and it restarts your 10 articles over. So they can't track you anymore. So I'm like, hell yeah, I'm the ultimate underground newspaper thief. So that's what I'm doing.
That is awesome.
It took me about an hour to figure out how to dump that thing. Because of my tech savviness.
I was going to say, back to the technological caveman.
Yeah, I had to go back to Google for a while. But, so that's what I do there. Now, some of the sites, like the Durant website, the Durant newspaper, you get like 4 sentences. And then that's it.
And they block it.
That bitch is shut down, and you have to subscribe. So
yeah.
I got a feeling that that's where this is headed.
Probably.
The big newspapers, the Times, New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, all those are the 10 free articles, then 10 free articles to the 1 IP address. I don't think the Daily Oklahoman does that yet, or Tulsa World. I don't know. Everything I get hold of them is free, but I don't read a lot of articles there. Because 9 times out of 10, I don't give a shit what.
Is News OK
News OK is the Daily Oklahoman.
Yeah, they do it. They're the one I found out.
Oh, so they're the 10 articles.
Yeah, they were the one I found out on.
I don't think I've read 10 articles from them in a year.
I was trying to read about the.
I think it's monthly though.
And maybe it is.
Either way, it's a pain in the ass.
And I've been reading them a lot lately because the article I was trying to read was about the fallout from the Supreme Court decision about half Oklahoma still being a reservation.
Oh, yeah.
And it was an article about an agreement that was being reached between the tribes and the state on policing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was kind of curious how that was going to work.
That's so fucking irritating too.
I've been telling people that the Choctaws are going to start throwing people out of Durant that aren't Choctaw and taking their land back. And because I like to fuck with people, and obviously that's not going to happen. But be amazed at the people that like legitimately claim it.
Well, dude, the conspiracy theories out about, man, and that falls back on that people won't take the time to just do a little homework. I saw a show the other day, and it was talking about all these conspiracy theories, and they're so fucking far-fetched. And like to the very skeptical, standoffish guy that I am, I look at this and I'm like, Yeah, but wouldn't it just be easier if it was the other way? So therefore, it probably is the opposite of what it is. You know, like the demon semen lady. I'm like, what if the other doctors are like, no, this lady's crazy, and she just happens to be, instead of this huge cover up and the liberal media and worldwide domination and all this shit. And I'm like, what if she's just a nut bar?
Yeah.
Much simpler
Oh,
solution.
well, it's
Well, see, that's the thing is,
like I said earlier, I'm just smart enough to be dangerous, not smart enough to be genius. Is it Occam's razor, where it's like the simplest theory is often the correct?
yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's. I think that
that may be the
feels
wrong
right.
name.
I think that feels right to me.
It does.
It's been a while.
But
since.
yeah, the simplest answer is usually the right one.
Well, and that's the thing too, though. But if you look at it, the thing I was watching, I think it was John Oliver on HBO,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, okay, let's just break this down. You got the Kennedy assassination, and then you got the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
There are millions of conspiracy theories about the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
There are none about Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Because that event of Ronald Reagan did not change the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't a simple event. The man got shot.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
But it wasn't successful.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it wasn't a huge world-changing event. You know, and it wasn't. I mean, if you think about it, JFK, which I mean, there's nothing to think about, was the only president in modern time to be assassinated.
Yeah.
You know, on TV.
Oh yeah.
For that matter.
Very publicly.
Very publicly. You know, you can go back to McKinley, Garfield, and those dudes. They probably were publicly too, but it was in person. So if you weren't there, it didn't resonate with you the way that Kennedy did.
Really, the only like real public execution or assassination of him would be Lincoln.
Yeah, but I mean, even then though, I mean, you don't have a connection.
No,
to that,
yeah.
Like you would, like anybody does with the Kennedy one, because it's on video. You know, that's the very. I mean, it's right there.
Back and to the left.
Yes, exactly. So, and what the point I'm getting at is, that was such a world-changing event that people there has to be more to it than that. There has to be more than, you know, Oswald's up in the window and takes 3 shots. So there has to be so much more to it than that, because you know, this happened, that happened, and all that.
Yeah, everybody needs the reason.
Exactly.
Everything's got to make sense and be orderly.
But if you go with the Reagan assassination attempt, it was on video too.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty obvious. Dude walks up, pops him.
Yeah.
But there's no conspiracy theories because A, it wasn't a world-changing event. Turned out to be not that major. I mean, to Reagan, it was a big fucking deal, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a huge.
Well, and the shit, what was his name? What was the guy that shot Reagan?
I keep wanting to attribute it to.
Anyways,
he's from Ardmore, I think.
I don't know. We were talking about the other day because you were telling me about the book he likes.
Oh no! That's the dude that killed John Lennon.
Oh, that's right.
That's
okay.
God damn it.
See, smart enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Anyways, the point I was going to make was that, like, on conspiracy theories, especially like that, is that, like, I think there are conspiracy theories that are probably true. Because, like, I work for the government. So, you know, you develop a healthy distrust in anyone you work for.
Yeah.
You know, in any employment thing. And so, but I also know Joe, which is like the generic term for soldiers. And
Mark David Chapman. That's the guy that shot Lennon.
There is no way that, like, some of these conspiracies that people believe to be true, that are so massive and like such a broad scale, are actually true.
Well,
because there would be some like E4 or private that would tell the fucking stripper that's dancing with him, trying to get her to fall in love with a whole thing, and it would be out everywhere because Joe can't keep his mouth shut.
That is another thing that this show. You need to watch this one on HBO. This is one of John Oliver's better ones, and he talks about that too. He's like, okay, so there's the huge conspiracy theory out there that the moon landing didn't happen, was fake. So there was this company. There's some kind of statistical analyzer. I forget what he said the company's name was, but they analyze numbers. They're just eggheads, basically. You know, they figured that it would take, like, I think the number was like 42,000 people would have to keep their mouth shut about this for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
That's just not in human nature.
No.
And then he goes into like the whole coronavirus hoax being a hoax thing.
Mm.
And he's like, okay, so the same company poked the same numbers. You know, this is like government officials and county health officials, state health officials, you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
And so they did all the math, and it was well over 500,000 people have to keep it quiet. There's no fucking possible way.
So the only, I don't even know how much of a conspiracy theory anymore. I think it's almost generally accepted by, and maybe that's just the biasness of the people I'm around most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the only conspiracy to the whole coronavirus thing I get is that I'm fairly confident, just on the stuff I've read and seen, just knowing how things work, that the virus was probably accidentally released from a lab in China and not from a dude eating a bat at a wet market.
Well, see, the thing too about the whole bat thing, I think got disproven anyway. I
Did?
think, yeah.
I've seen some stuff that said it did, and I've seen some stuff that said it hadn't, so it's kind of hard to tell.
You know, people like a good story too. That's where the conspiracy theories thing come from as well. People love great stories.
Well, and not only great stories, but with this incident, like, you know, what? Well, there's 300 and, how many? 150 dead in the U.S. 150,000.
It was 152,000 as of like yesterday.
So like, and there's probably, what are we, a third of the world's deaths? Maybe a little more than a third. Not half, but
we're
maybe a little more than a third.
4 million infected, 152,000 dead. I think it is. I think it's like 33 to 35%.
Yeah.
Of the world total.
Like, China as a government cannot release that they're the ones that accidentally, you know, that'd be a huge world outcry.
Well,
And so, yeah, like, it's a dangerous virus got out. Oh, dude ate a bat. It got out.
well, I mean, there's that, but you know, there's a lot of other environmental factors that could have contributed to it too. I mean, you know, I'm a big environmental guy, and you know, we're actively destroying the environment. I don't give a shit who you are. Don't tell me we're not, because we are.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a background in science. I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you're waking up things that hadn't been around. You know, you get that polar ice melting and things like that. You know, you get glaciers disappearing. You don't know what's under them. There could be bacteria the size of this table underneath that shit. You don't know, because it hasn't seen daylight in millions of years.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that there is bacteria the size of,
No,
you know.
well, I'm sure that there's pools of bacteria the size of this table.
Well, yeah.
You know, they ain't seen 100,000 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that, you know, a lot of people were thinking that, you know, in the scientific community, I've read several articles that these environmental factors are what's causing this, which is very plausible. And that could have been a biological weapon. Very plausible. Humans are stupid. They do stupid shit.
Yeah.
You know, some dickhead probably had it on his shoes. I mean, it's very possible.
Yeah.
But to think it's a hoax to rob someone of an election
Mm-hmm.
and then get the entire world involved in on it, I want to meet the person that put this together, because that's incredible. Like,
Yeah.
come on this podcast, whoever you are. Let's sit down, because we're writing a movie. We're doing it. It's going to be the greatest movie ever made.
Well, I can tell you right now that I am not part of any conspiracy, and anyone that wants to bring me into their conspiracy don't. And the reason is I am a fucking horrible liar. Like, I am shit at it.
You're confronted with
Oh,
it.
I am, like, the minute I think I've got somebody fooled, I start to giggle. Like, it is visible that I am lying to you. I cannot help it. I've tried.
That would be funny.
Like,
if like
the reason I don't lie.
your dumbass lets it out of the bag.
Yeah, the reason
it's like, this fucking guy.
the reason I don't lie, part of it is the moral concept of lying, like, pisses me off. But I think I got to that point, like that moral stance on it, because I was just so bad at it that I got in trouble all the time. So it was just, it was stupid to lie because I knew I was going to get caught. So I just started telling the truth all the time.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Because
go.
I was so bad at it.
That works. That
And
works
so-
though. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm not part of any conspiracy because I can keep a secret.
Well, they probably know that though. That's part of the
But I
conspiracy.
can't lie. No, you're
you
probably
are
right.
part
You're
of the
right. No,
conspiracy. You're just intentionally not part of it,
yes.
because they know that this
Yeah.
guy will fuck it up.
Yeah, I'm on a list somewhere that says don't include this guy.
He can't even operate the podcast equipment. We're not telling him shit. This guy is not doing shit.
And talking about talking, I posted on my Facebook page earlier in preparation for this. I was trying to get some ideas, and like I thought I'd get more quotes and stuff, but I basically asked what like everybody's idea of intelligence was.
Yeah.
And I got the stuff you generally think you're going to get. You know, broad knowledge of general topics. You know,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know, the dictionary version of intelligence. When I looked at my phone here a minute ago, and because it buzzed at me, and I thought it might be work, and my sister had posted on there, and she said, "Knowing when to shut up," and that is not a lesson I've learned. So,
Well,
so apparently I don't fit her definition of intelligence.
Well, my definition, you know, I didn't respond on there because I want to do it here.
Mhm.
My definition of intelligence is it's situational.
Yeah.
You know, you may not be the right guy for this job, but you're the right guy over here. You know, to me, it's the application.
Yeah.
You know, like you take me and you put me in the job that I'm in, I'm pretty intelligent in it.
Yeah.
You take me and you put me, say, I don't know, building a submarine or something.
Mm.
You got the wrong motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, so it's you know, I hate to call people stupid. I do a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a slang thing because they're intelligent in their own way.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't get through life without having some intelligence. You know, because if not, you would eat the rat poison and you would or whatnot. You know, I think it's all situational intelligence, and by that I mean, like I said, you know, you may not be the right guy at the right time, but you know, you have your niche in life. You know, like the MacGyver guy that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
You know, that dude has a function, and he's very needy. You know, or very needed, not needy. So, to me, it's what you can bring to the table.
Yeah.
You know, your piece of the pie.
Yeah.
So,
You said something earlier that made me think that we kind of glossed over a part of one of the things I wanted to do in the podcast is you kind of, as you were talking about something you just mentioned, I have a background in science.
mm-hmm.
So one of the things I wanted to do was, so we've talked to people about what has influenced us, but we haven't really told people who we are.
Yeah.
And so, without going into like, you know, I'm not asking you to share personal details.
Sure.
But like, what do you feel like makes you qualified or not worthy, but someone who people should listen to and take the advice of on a podcast?
Wow. Well, it depends on the person.
Okay.
You know, if this person wants to hear, I don't know, say they're north of here, they're Yankees.
Mhm.
Call them Yankees. You know, we're Southern, they're Yankees. And they want to hear someone that sounds like us talk. And they think that, you know, these people are all dumb, not very well spoken, not eloquent, or things like that. You know, we're the average guy. You know, so in my mind, that's what qualifies us. Is we're average guys with, in my mind, extraordinary opinions and extraordinary ideas. As far as qualifications, I don't think there is any. I'm not any more qualified to do this than anyone. What are the qualifications?
Yeah.
You know, do I want people to listen to me? Sure. So basically, I'm beating around the bush and saying I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, this thing came to me as something I always wanted to do because I'm a pretty decent storyteller.
Mhm.
Like if anybody that's heard us or knows me, especially, you know, been around me socially, I can tell a fucking story like you're there.
Yeah.
And I'm not bragging on myself. I'm just saying it's things I do. And from the podcast I've listened to and see, you know, they're mostly stand-up comics.
Mm.
And they always do the best podcasts.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan,
No,
for
I agree.
example.
I agree. And I agree that you are much better at it than I am.
Well,
Like,
I wouldn't say that. I mean,
I feel like I'm good with like concepts and ideas.
yeah.
But you were like, I'm very straight to the point with it just because of my personality.
Yeah.
You're much better at like expressing the idea.
Well, to
if
me,
that makes sense. And so
well,
I think,
that's the yin and yang of this whole
no,
thing.
I agree. That's what I was gonna get at. It's like to me that's a really good balance of it.
You bring the topics, I apply them.
Mhm.
You know, that's kind of where we go with this. And the way it's been going is, you know, you hit me, then I'll hit you. And then basically we complement each other in that way.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's what I bring to the table. If you want to hear somebody that can talk to you and tell you a story about their life like they were there, I'm your man. You know, I'm not saying I'm this Rudyard Kipling type, you know, Jungle Bookish storyteller, but I mean, I do find myself entertaining, if that doesn't sound too conceited. But also, we touched on this a lot, you know, we're both pretty educated.
Yeah.
So, and both pretty well spoken, so I think that in itself qualifies to say something.
Yeah.
And then also, we don't have a fear of learning. You know, you learn things about each other. We express things we already know. So, and then if somebody comes up and says, dude, you're fucking wrong, I've got the proof, we're both man enough to say, yeah, you're right, man, we were way off on that.
Yeah.
So I think that right in itself, because a lot of people won't back off. You know, they could be dead wrong, proven dead wrong, and they're still coming. It's the need to be right, like you mentioned earlier. Not correct, right.
Yeah.
And if that, and in my mind, right is right up here.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's right in the world. It's right up here, so you can live with yourself. And you can't admit a mistake or admit, you know, hey, you said the wrong year, wrong day, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people can't even do that. I think that with us qualifies us for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know if that really answered your question, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I mean, plus, I mean, we have deep discussions anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, off this thing. Get these mics out of our face. We would have these same discussions with or without an audience. So
yeah, you're exactly right.
that's where this kind of idea came from, was let's throw these topics and discussions out there and let the world hear it. And if people want to hear it, great. If they don't, fine. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know. So what about you? Same question. What about you?
I don't know. I'm a bit more cocky about it than you are. So
Sure.
For me, it's like I feel I have a lot to say, and I feel like I'm right on a lot of topics, and not in the sense of like factually right, but like morally right.
Okay.
And that's how I judge. Like, I'm very logical based. Like I said earlier, I try to think like a scientist. If you show me the facts that I'm wrong, I'll change my mind. I'll admit
Sure.
that, hey, you're right. 2 + 2 is 4. I'm wrong. You know, I got no problem with that. But I am very morally centered on what I think right and wrong is. And so, I look around and we've had the conversation before. Like I steal it from Captain America because it's the best way to put it. That the movie. I don't like a bully. Like, I just cannot fucking handle it.
Yeah.
And so I look around in the world today, and the idea I have of how the world should be morally and intellectually seems to be off kilter. And if me and you can sit around in a loft and bullshit stuff like we would downstairs or in the backyard or something like that, and we can change one person's mind,
That's where I was headed.
you know, to me it's worth it. Like, and so, and I'll be the first to tell you, don't listen to us. Like, listen to the podcast, listen to what we have to say, and then go fucking look it up and see if we're right. Don't just assume that because 2 dudes are on the internet talking that they're correct.
Well, yeah.
So go research it and then comment back. If we say something wrong or it's factually incorrect, like, comment back on the post and say, hey, y'all said this, and look at the links I found. And in the next podcast I'll tell you, hey, such and such showed me some stuff, and hey, we were wrong on the last podcast.
Sure.
And so, but to me, it's about the ability to have an open discussion with somebody I'm going to discuss shit with anyways,
Sure.
and maybe affect just a small amount of change in the way people think in the world.
See,
And then in years from now, and the other part of it is kind of the cockiness part of it a little bit, is like, it's almost kind of like a way to immortalize myself. Like, in 100 years I'll be dead.
Sure.
And somewhere on the internet, in whatever version it is in 100 years, there'll be a podcast of me and you that people can still find, that my great grandkids can stumble across and listen to me talk about bullshit. And maybe I affect one of them in a way.
Well, it's an art, and I think this is our art, because we both can't draw.
I know, I'm ready to do a stick figure.
And we're not musicians and things like that. So I mean, this is our creativity, if you ask me. You know, this is us being creative.
I like to make the joke that my artistic capability is appreciation.
Yeah, that's very fair, and that's how I feel. So to me, you hit the nail on the head. If you can get to one person and it's like, man, I can fit in with these guys. I can relate. I can understand. You know, or even if the person doesn't see things the way we do, but they're like, okay, I really like these guys, the way they sound, the way they do, what they say, but I don't agree with a lot of their shit, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not trying to say, hey, agree with me or get the fuck out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is if you touch that one person and you get somebody that you completely don't know, and they listen to your podcast for, you know, they follow us religiously, and then one day, you know, you bump into them, they're like, hey, you're that guy.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's cool. I mean, that's you've touched somebody somehow, some way, and they're...
Well, it's kind of like back to the whole, like, action thing. I just don't feel like you can sit around and bitch about how the world is.
No.
And then not do anything.
No.
To change it. What is the, what's that, be the change you want to see in the world?
Yeah.
You know, type deal. And like, while I don't necessarily think I need to change a lot, I do think that the way me and you see things and stuff is something that, especially the states, could use a little bit more of with the open discussion. But the problem with that is too is how much of that, talking about social media earlier, how much of that is because while we see the loud minority all the time, and really, you know, it's the whole, like, we're not as divided as we seem. It's just because, you know, the loud minority makes it seem like the far left, the far right makes it seem like everybody hates each other. And to me, if me and you sit here on this podcast, it's basically like my attempt to be louder than the loud minority. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
get
not necessarily shouting in the wind, but all right, you got your pulpit and you're making your preach and you're preaching hate and discontent and division. All right, well, I'm gonna get my pulpit and I'm gonna preach, hey, we're really in this together, and there's a common knowledge, and you know the way the states aren't the United States aren't perfect. We've done a lot of shady shit in our history.
Sure.
The ideals we're built upon are perfect, and we fall short of it constantly. But we should strive towards it. We shouldn't just either one side of it that wants to tear it down and the other side of it that wants to ignore it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when we started talking about doing a podcast, to me that was the big deal. It was like, all right, this is my opportunity to maybe be louder than the you know, maybe give a voice to the center.
And it's also about expression to me. I mean, this is one good way to express ourselves. You know, it may not reach this huge market. It may only be a local thing, but you know, it's just if you want to hear an opinion, here it is.
Actually, on
out there.
the app that I post on the podcast for it, I can pull up a map of where our downloads are from.
Yeah.
We've had 2 downloads from Brazil.
No shit.
No shit.
If you're the Brazilian people and you hear this, please comment on the Facebook thing.
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
We will get you called in. We will figure out how to do this shit over the phone. I don't know Portuguese. We will figure that part out. Hopefully you're speaking English if you're listening to us, because I can't imagine anything we say sounds anything like Portuguese. No. Brazil, is that the farthest?
That's the furthest one I've seen so far. We've had a couple. Texas and Oklahoma are the big ones.
Sure.
A couple in California. Then there's a couple like just throughout the Midwest, Iowa, I got a buddy that lives in North Dakota, so he's listened to our episodes.
So I've got a friend.
And so.
Well, I don't have a friend. My cousin has a friend that lives
Indiana.
in
We've got a couple from
Idaho.
A couple from Alaska.
Yeah, are these military people? A lot of them, you think?
I don't know.
You know.
I don't know. I don't know anybody in Alaska, so I don't know who it would be.
So you think there's some dude just sitting in there scrolling through Apple Podcasts and it's like, this looks interesting.
I have no idea.
Does it tell you if they listen to the whole thing or
no? It just tells me if they
they've accidentally clicked on it.
And they very well may have, but they've downloaded it and started it. It doesn't tell me how far they got. It just that they downloaded it and started it.
They're incredibly disappointed. This Brazilian dude is like, what the fuck is this?
They saw small town Stoics and thought, oh, this is some like legit philosopher stuff. And got like the introduction and said, "This motherfucker is redneck," and I'm done.
Like, who the fuck are these guys? That's incredible. Oh, that's funny.
But we hit over 300 downloads last week.
Hey, there's 300 people that have heard our.
Well, 300 downloads. So out of all our combined episodes.
Well, surely somebody isn't downloading it twice.
That's true, I guess.
Oh, well, that's cool though. I mean, hello everyone. That's especially you two Brazilians. And if you got it accidentally, I get it. I do shit like that all the
Didn't we have a
time.
foreign exchange student from Brazil in high school?
I remember.
She was like,
I don't know if it was.
she played basketball. She's in our. I've got a picture of all the senior athletes on the wall at my house.
She wasn't in our class, I don't think.
Yeah, she's in the picture.
No.
She was like a cheerleader. I don't think she played ball. I think she was a cheerleader.
There was 2 Germans.
Yeah.
An Australian.
There was the girl from Switzerland, whose name I don't remember. Tall,
They
skinny,
were older.
Yeah, she was a grade above us.
Because they had an Italian too.
Mhm.
I don't know if there was a Brazilian or not. I don't remember.
Her name was like I want to say Flamenca, but I know that I'm actually thinking of the actress's name from X-Men.
Yeah, no, I don't recall. Man, see, that's 20 years ago.
I know, but wonder how weird it'd be if it was her.
But that would be
I
ironic.
went to school with these guys. You should listen to them. They're a bunch of idiots.
Surely she don't. I can't even remember her. Sure shit, she doesn't remember us.
I don't know. You'd be amazed at the number of people that come to me on a daily basis and talk to me like they know me. I have no idea who they are, and then they walk away, and Heather will be like, "You were really rude to that person. You've met him several times."
See,
I am horrible with names. I'm horrible
I am
with
too.
faces.
I'm a first base coach for our little league team. I constantly scream at the wrong kid. Like,
Do you?
come down the, I'm screaming, what are you doing? And then they're like, oh, he's on deck. So, yeah, I'm that way. So I guess I just assume that I'm not that memorable. So people are like, that name doesn't ring any bells. So
I walked into. I was on the way to work Thursday morning, and so it's about 4:45 in the morning, and I stopped at Kersey Corner to grab a Red Bull and use the restroom. And
there's a blast from the past.
As I'm walking in, and oh yeah, I'll tell you that story in a minute. So as I'm walking in though, this guy that I worked with at Big Lots in like the 04 to 05 time frame, and I recognized him. He's walking out. He's like, "Hey, morning, Ben. How are you doing?" I was like, "Hey, how's it going? Good, good to see you." And I walked on out, and if you put a gun in my hand, I can't.
Yeah.
Like I know I worked with him at Big Lots, no idea who it is. But what? 15 years later, he's like, "Hey, Ben, how's it going?" Like no hesitation to it, nothing. And I'm just like, I've seen you around everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
that's me.
Shit at it.
Well, for me, I live too much in the now. I'm like, okay, I recognize you now. You get out. If you get out of the picture for a little while.
Yeah.
There's a good. I'm not saying like people that are really good friends, but acquaintances. If you get out of the picture a while, I might see your face and be like, that face rings a bell, but I'm not sure how. I'm the same way.
For me, it's not necessarily the whole living it out thing. It's like I'm an oxymoron. I'm a really loud, vocal introvert.
Ooh. Yeah.
Like I don't really like people. Like I'm not very social. I get anxiety in big, large groups and stuff. And so I typically like kind of stick to myself. Once I make a buddy, like their family, like I was teasing Heather the other day. I'm Dom from Fast and the Furious. Like I don't have friends that have family.
Yeah.
So
for
like
sure.
I basically just start adopting people, and they're not friends; they're family now.
Well, loyal to a fault, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And so,
I'm
but
the same way.
So mine is more like I immediately decide, hey, you're my people, or you're just somebody I know and I talk to. And it doesn't mean I dislike you. It just means you're not like in my people. And I can't remember names in that group.
Well, that's me too. And a lot of times I'll see people and I'm like, I know you, but I'm gonna purposely dodge you because I don't really have anything to say. I mean,
oh yeah.
What am I going to say? Hello. We weren't friendly back in the day. Why in the hell would we start now?
Yeah.
So there's that, but
no, and that's like talking about kind of back a couple episodes to what influenced us growing up and stuff. That's why I hate Walmart. I run into a whole bunch of people that like that either in high school I worked really hard to fit in with and never fit in with, or a whole bunch of people that I didn't want anything to do with. But because we went to school with 29 seniors, 3 or 4 exchange students, you kind of had to because that was your whole class.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like I'll go to Walmart and like will intentionally like skip aisles that I know I have to go down, but I'll go somewhere else and then come back because I just don't want to stop talking to people.
Well, see, I was the same.
If I do run into somebody that I'm really good friends with and stuff, I'll sit there and talk for fucking 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I'll talk forever.
And see, a friend of mine, he's from a much larger school, much larger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking, I think he graduated like 450.
Good Lord. That was more than we had. I looked it up right after we graduated because I was curious. I was having a discussion in California about it. We had 502 kids, pre-K through 12.
Okay, well, he graduated with like 450. So considerable sized town, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he comes here, and we do the whole Walmart trip together.
Mm-hmm.
Going beer run, snack run, things like that. And he's like, okay, I'm just gonna stop. And he goes, how many motherfuckers in here don't you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, he goes, I don't understand this whole small town thing. I don't know how he's like, I thought that was a myth. I'm like, no, it's not. I said, I think it's about 50-50 of people I know and don't know.
Yeah.
Because not only is it not people from our hometown or people we went to high school with, it's people like I knew from other jobs and things like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there were people that I was friendly with and things like that. But then again, if it was so much farther into the past, I'm like, I really don't remember that guy's name or any of that. So I just, purposely avoid that. And that's where that situation falls in because I don't want to have that awkward conversation of, that dude remembers me and I'm going to look like a major league asshole because I don't know his name.
So if somebody walks by me, like the guy that encouraged you, and says hi and then keeps going, I don't say anything. But if somebody comes up to me and starts talking to me, and I just cannot, I'll give it about 30 seconds, and if I can't place it, I will straight up just be like, hey, listen, I know you, but I can't remember your name. I will straight up ask, right? I'll just be like, listen, I'm an asshole, what's your name? So I feel like more of an asshole the longer this goes on.
Yeah, just drag it out. But I've intentionally drug it out before because I didn't want to ask that question.
Yeah.
I've been like, just totally, so, who's your dad? Shit like that. Just like, how's your dad doing?
Yeah.
My dad's been dead.
Oh, start looking for context clues.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that
is my least favorite thing when I run into people that I hadn't seen since high school, shit like that. They're like, well, how's the family? And everybody remembers dad, but everybody really remembers mom. I mean, when your mother's 6 foot and Amazonian looking, long blonde hair, everybody remembers who your mom is. And so I'll run into people that I haven't seen since high school, and they're like, well, how's your mom doing? And I'll be like, so she died like the year after we graduated, or the year after high school. And I feel like an asshole because I know immediately they're going to go into the whole they feel like an asshole mode.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I just want to be like, oh, she's great.
Yeah.
I just go down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Because the chances of you seeing that person again within the next 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that's crazy. Brazil. My mind is blown.
Yep.
Well, yeah, we're worldwide now.
I know.
That's insane. So.
But that goes back to I feel like the longer we do this, the better we get at it. Because obviously I am.
Oh, we were still baby deer.
No, yeah, I know. And so I read a bunch. I'm a researcher. I'm not to that level you are. Because and I say that because you have your passions.
Yeah.
You were very passionate about music. You're very passionate about certain styles of books, and so you really I am flavor of the week passionate. I got interested. I don't remember why, but several years ago I got interested in catamarans, and for 2 weeks all I fucking did was research catamarans. I couldn't even tell you what got me into it, but I needed to know.
Of all the things of all the small watercraft in the world, I don't think a catamaran would be my choice.
So I'm one of those people. I'll get a flash in the pan, interest in something, and then I gotta fucking know everything about it. And I was going somewhere with that. Now I forgot because we had to talk about catamarans. And now I'm like, fuck it. Now I can think of this water world.
I'm gonna go home and read about catamarans now.
Probably.
They got those catamaran files. Oh yeah. Well, see, with me, I have to know things. I have to get interested.
Yeah.
And you know, I told you about that book I was reading. It's Chuck Palahniuk, and for you who don't know who Chuck Palahniuk is, watch the movie Fight Club. That's who he is. He wrote that book. There was a book that he wrote after he wrote several of his novels called Stranger Than Fiction, and it's short stories.
Yeah, you were talking about this today.
Yes, and like if you ever saw the movie Fight Club, you know the narrator character, because if you ever notice, the narrator character never really has a name until the end.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have never seen Fight Club, I'm not going to say his name. So, but he goes to a lot of support meetings, and goes to like testicular cancer and intestinal bowel parasites support groups. You know, these church support groups. Chuck Palahniuk actually did this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, full disclosure, he didn't do it facetiously as the character in Fight Club did, but he volunteered at a hospice. See, I didn't know all this shit because I thought that honestly, I didn't do my homework on Chuck Palahniuk the way that I should have. And I've had this book laying around, and now it's really pissed me off because anybody that knows me knows I'm the consummate research guy, so I have to get in there and dig this shit up. Well, I never really dug it up, and of course I never really gave it a thought, because if you've ever read any of Chuck Palahniuk's books, you think there's no fucking way that this is applied to real life.
Yeah.
Oh no. And he lays it all out in this book, and so that book is right in my wheelhouse, you know, because I've read the books that he's talking about, and I've enjoyed them, and in my mind, it's just, to me, it felt better thinking that Chuck Palahniuk was just so fucked up that he come up with these stories on his own and without this shit. But then when I learned, you know, reading this book, 'cause the book's been on my shelf for probably 5 years, 6 years, maybe even longer. I don't know. Never picked it up. It just sat there because I'm like, man, it's a collection of essays and short stories. It can't be that good. The first one is like, ooh, wow, holy shit, he did this. So, anyway, I mean, yeah, I get that passionate about that stuff. So, and if you heard the music one, very passionate about, you know, those bands and that genre of music and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I dig deep, and I'm a lifer.
Yeah.
You know, baseball statistic guy. You know, I'm basically an amateur baseball historian. I'm not published or anything, but you know, I do my homework. So yeah. I mean, it's exhausting. Laying there at night thinking, well, you know, I really need to Google that. Dig deep, you know. But
Oh yeah, no,
it's a curse.
If somebody throws out something that I don't know a lot about, like I'm immediately like the next day down the rabbit hole.
Well, I mean,
I have to know. I have to know what they were talking about and like know about it.
it has to be a subject that interests me. If it's somebody that interests me talking about it, and I'm like, ooh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go hit this.
Yeah.
But if I hear somebody just mentioning like catamarans, I'm not dogging you, just saying,
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I don't give a
I
fuck
don't
about
know.
no catamaran.
There was something about it that got me on it. I don't know what it was.
It would have to have been something major for me. I'd been like, well, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden is really into catamarans. I'm like, oh, holy shit, I need to look into this.
Yeah.
Something like that. Somebody I have a ton of respect
Yeah.
for would bring it up and be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna see what's up here.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't know what it was. But yeah, that's me though. It's like I'll read something in a book, or I'll see it in a movie, or somebody will mention it at work.
how does it capture your interest? Like what part of something like that, like the flavor of the week, captures your interest? Is it because you just get consumed with it, or do you see it in so many places and you're like, oh, what's the fucking rage here?
No. It is absolutely like it consumes me. Like I'll see it in something, or hear it, or something like that. Read it, and usually it's something I don't know a lot about to begin with.
Does it stick with you for a while before you dig in, or do you have to dig in immediately?
No, it's immediate. Like I've got like, okay, well.
So you got to pause the movie.
Yeah.
And let's go.
No. Well, now I may start Googling or something during the movie, but I won't pause it.
I'm the pause the movie guy.
But
we're stopping this bitch right here.
But I will definitely like start Googling and watching the movie and shit.
Yeah.
And so an example is, so I was trying to prep for this podcast, and I knew we'd get like into the political realm and stuff like that. And I remembered from my childhood, people talking about blue dog Democrats, and I couldn't fucking remember what a blue dog Democrat was.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't remember what the Republican version of a blue dog Democrat was.
Yeah.
And so so I went down a fucking rabbit hole, trying to figure out what the two were.
Three hours later.
Yeah, like I was immediately like, all right, I got to know this because it'll fucking eat at me if I don't.
Yeah.
So, I'm reading spreadsheets and shit, and like on my phone, like reading about like different Blue Dog Democrats and like what the Republican version is, which there's not a name for the Republican version, by the way.
I thought it was Rhino or some shit.
No, those are
pretend.
Yeah, those are
Republicans?
pretend Republicans.
Oh, that's
what is it? Republicans?
Biggest crock of shit.
Republicans hiding in plain sight or
Hiding in the open.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh Jesus
And,
Christ! I should have known
But
better.
What's funny to me about that term is that's a Republican term for Republicans. Like it's not a negative that Democrats came up with. Like the Tea Party Republicans, like the hardcore like right wingers.
Yeah.
Like they came up with it for like the actual Republicans. Like the historical
that
Republicans were called fake Republicans by like the crazy people.
See, that tells you where I come from. I'm like, because I see those crazy motherfuckers, like the Tea Party guys. I just want to fight every one of them. I'm like, come, just stop it. Rand Paul can eat shit. His neighbor, I love the guy. I've never met him. I don't know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, his neighbor was going to kick his fucking ass. And I'm like, the neighbor is the man.
Yeah.
So, you get that shit, but anyway, beside the point, but, yeah, I get where you're coming from. But it's the thirst for knowledge, though.
Yeah.
That's with me. I have to know about it. I have to understand. And that's why...
That's me. It's not that I have to know it. I have to understand it. Like, I can read all day long for a week about something, and I'm just consumed with it. But the minute I feel like I understand it, like I can conceptualize it and stuff, like I'm done. Like, like all right, next.
Yeah, that's
me. Like, but if I can't get to that point, like I'm still...
that point will come, though.
Yeah, it will. But like some things it's a 30-minute Google search, and then some things it's a 2-week search, and some shit I'm still like game theory.
Yeah.
Like I fucking love game theory. Like I read about it constantly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Never gave it a thought.
Stoicism.
Yeah.
No, but like the philosophy of Stoicism, like I read about it constantly.
See, I don't know. It's to me, it's kind of boring.
Really?
Yeah. I don't.
See, for me, the heart of Stoicism is, and that's what I consider like a major part of my personal life philosophy. And a major part of Stoicism for me is the whole like other people cannot dictate how I feel. Well, like you can say whatever you want to say, but I am control whether I'm angry, happy, sad. I control my response to what you say, and I feel like in the world today, a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah.
They allow other people to control their emotions, and the minute you control somebody's emotions, you control them.
Well,
you can manipulate and do whatever you want.
Being in your head.
Yes, and so like I feel like that's one of the things that's been lost. Is a lot of people like they allow other people to dictate how they feel.
I don't know. See, that's I don't know. To me, I can't read shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my mind it's already locked in. I'm set. I'm cool.
Mm.
So, for me, it has to be. I guess that's where I come into the flavor of the week topic. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'm going to dive deeper than hell into this and go, and then I don't repeat it, because I've already crossed that bridge. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's where our reading tastes kind of differ. For me, like your TV taste and my TV taste differ. Your TV taste is your junk food.
Yeah.
For me,
definitely my chance to turn my brain off.
Exactly, but for me, that's where my reading is. My reading is my junk food. Now I say that, and I read some really heavy shit. Like you're reading Rollins now, Solipsist. Dude, I love that shit.
So I was a little worried about it, and because I'd read some stuff online about it.
Don't.
And so I was really kind of worried. And the first fucking it's not even a story. Like the first, not paragraph, but like section. Episode, like however you wanted to, because it's broken up into like different little.
You don't even want to call them chapters.
Yeah, they're too short to be chapters, but they're too long to be paragraphs.
It's like 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah, well, some of them are like a page and a half.
Yeah.
And so, but the first one I was just like, all right, I'm fucking reading this book.
Yeah.
And so
it just sucks you in.
It does.
That's the way with a lot of them.
See, my reading is my heavy. Like I like to read. I either read junk food, like, and I read one of those a week or so. But like reading's where I get my concepts and my ideas. And it may not be books; it may be off the internet. But that's TV is definitely like, all right, I've got to turn my brain off for a while. Books are like, all right, I want some knowledge or something.
Well, yeah.
Feed that.
See, with me, I'm a big documentary nerd.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've probably seen every documentary on Netflix. If I haven't, I'm really damn close.
I just got to be interested in something to watch a documentary.
Oh,
I can't watch it if I'm not
that's where
interested in the topic.
That for me, that's where I can go head deep in shit. Like I'll watch a 2-hour documentary on something, and I'm like, oh god, I have to know more about this now. So that's where the books come in. You know, like I never read much into Pablo Escobar. Then I watched a 3-hour documentary on Pablo Escobar and the shit he did and how they hunted him down and everything else. Immediately, I'm like, ooh, wow. I was reading in, bought Mark Bowden's book, Killing Pablo. Read that son of a bitch back front to back. You know, plenty of other documentaries I find, research and stuff like that. Okay, done with it. Next topic.
Yeah.
You know, so and then I'll fall into. There was another one. The act of, I think it was called The Act of Killing, and it was a documentary about, I forget the country, I think it was Cambodia, the killing fields, and,
right.
how these dudes were going around killing communists, what they thought was communists, and these dudes went into people's homes and murdered tens of thousands of people with their own hands. And then the documentary guy got him to go back and reenact it, and by the end of the documentary, the dude's bawling and freaking the fuck out and shit. And I heard about it on a Doug Stanhope podcast, and I'm like, okay, gotta dive into this, and it's completely non-English, you gotta read the whole motherfucker. But I was consumed with it at that point, because it was like, wow, I have to know more, I hear a tidbit about it, gotta dig in here. So, you know, just, I hear a couple words and I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
I can check it. But it comes from a source that I respect, like Doug Stanhope.
Yeah.
You know, he is a piece of shit, but he's a comic. He's one of the best. And his podcast, he talks about all that same shit. And just weird off the wall. Like we're doing right now. This podcast is probably the least structured one we've done.
It probably is.
But it came from a voice of respect. So I'm like, he's into it. I'll probably be into it. I gotta check it out. So that's what we did. And, you know, a lot of times too with a documentary, it's just an accidental discovery. Like, there was one, this will be the last documentary story, but it's a good one, where this dude finds a human leg in a grill in a storage unit in North Carolina. It's called Finders Keepers. This fucking redneck piece of shit buys a storage auction. You know, like Storage Wars where people abandon them or can't afford to pay them or whatever.
Yep.
So he buys this storage unit, goes and auctions, wins the storage unit, and there's a grill laying there, and he opened it up, and there's something rolled up in newspaper in there, and he opened it up, and it's a human leg.
Yeah.
Well, turns out this guy got in a plane crash with his dad, killed his dad, and he lost his leg. And somehow or another, he talked the doctor into letting him keep the leg as a souvenir.
It's a weird.
Oh, yeah.
Weird keep.
Man. But the depth of this documentary, I'm like, and they made an entire 2-hour documentary over this shit. I'm fucking glued. I'm like, these guys get into a court battle over it, and then when they decide, hey, you know, we can make some money here, the guy that found it was trying to sell tickets to people to come look at it and see the cholesterol drip out of it, as he says.
Oh.
Yes. So, it is totally just batshit nuts.
Yeah.
You know, the whole story. But it's totally intriguing because, you know, it was clickbait. I seen it and it was a leg laying there and like a fake leg laying on the thing and it says Finders Keepers. I'm like, alright, let's just try this out. And you read the little description and then, like, holy shit, so then you just dig in, you know. It was a really good documentary, so if you ever get a chance.
So, because we're videoing this, I feel the need to say I wasn't ignoring you. I was looking at my phone because you said it was the last documentary. I actually had one I was going to mention to you, and I couldn't remember the fucking name. And so I was on Netflix trying to find the name.
Oh, gotcha.
It's a Zac Efron is the host. So, like High School Musical, Baywatch.
The dude, he played Ted Bundy.
Yes, he did. It's called Down to Earth, and basically it's 10 episodes, and him and another guy that's he's a podcaster, and I can't think of his name for the life of me, but he's a vegan. He's like real big on like the environment and stuff like that.
Efron or the other guy?
Both of them, but Efron's the other guy's the podcaster that's a vegan and has like an environmental type podcast, and they basically go around the world to all these different locations, like Iceland, South America, France, and all this stuff, and they visit places that are like health areas. Like they go to, like the one in Iceland is over like how they use geothermics to heat all their
They
stuff.
go to the gurus and shit.
Yes. Like,
Oh yeah, I've seen this. I know what you're talking about now. I had to think for a minute because I did
so like
remember
in
Zac
France
Efron.
they go to it's a whole, I can't remember the name of it. It's a holy location where like if you bath in the waters, it has healing properties and stuff like that. And they talk about how like Paris, and I didn't know this, you know, Paris has the water system in the entire city is run by the city government, and so there's free water fountains and bottle refillers and stuff like that there in France. They don't allow the sale of water bottles in the city, like plastic water bottles with water already in it. Like the vending machines that have water bottles in it are empty bottles
To go
like
fill.
like water bottles that you go fill up in the deal, and they have regular water, and they have certain fountains in the city that do like the seltzer water and stuff, and they go through the whole process though. Like they go into why they do the water that way. They go to the water processing plants and like how they filter the water, and why like purified water is bad for you. Like you need the minerals and the particulates and stuff like that are in water for your body to an extent, but not like completely 100% purified water is bad for you and stuff. And it's pretty interesting. But like watching Zac Efron, who I've only seen in basically like Baywatch.
Yeah, for sure.
And stuff, go around, like he's actually kind of interesting person. Like he talks a lot about like the stresses of Hollywood.
See,
and how like he feels like he just needs to get away for like his mental sanity, and it's pretty good. You need to watch it.
I've seen it on there. I haven't watched it. You know, I automatically excused it because it was Zac Efron.
So I'll be honest, I only turned it on because I'd seen about 400 posts about how sexy Zac Efron's dad bod was, and I've only seen him in Baywatch really. And so like, I don't know if you've seen Baywatch,
But with The Rock in it?
Yes. But he's in Baywatch, and he's basically like 0% body fat and just ripped as a motherfucker, like just built and cut. And I was like, that's not a fucking dad bod. So this guy must have let himself go. And so I watched it just to see how bad Zac Efron had let himself go.
Oh yeah.
And so two things came to this. One, it's a really great documentary. I watched all 10 episodes like in a day. It was really interesting. The second thing is Zac Efron does not have a dad bod. He's still fucking jacked and cut, and that's not what a dad bod is.
Okay.
Like that's an actor that has a personal trainer and like eats healthy and has a cook and shit like that. So all of you women out there that were going crazy about Zac Efron's dad bod, fuck off.
Nah.
Come to my house, I'll show you a dad bod.
Yeah, shit, that's what I am.
Zac Efron doesn't have a dad bod. Zac Efron has the body I kind of want.
I'm gonna have to give this a whirl. Like I said, I'm almost 100% positive I've seen the thumbnail go by.
Mhm.
I'm like, I just don't trust this guy.
They go somewhere in South America that on the Amazon that like there's a plant down there that has like, it's not shrooms, but it has like that kind of quality, like how
That makes you puke all night.
I don't know if it makes. It didn't say anything about that, but like, it's a psychedelic.
Yeah.
And like, they go through the whole process of like, it's like a steam bath with it underneath a tarp where it circulates with you and stuff like that. And
if it's what I'm thinking of, I forget the name of it.
I think it starts with a P.
Yeah.
But anyways, the whole series is interesting. You gotta watch it.
Well, yeah, like I said, but you see, with me, I'm like, I had no respect for Zac Efron, so I see this and I'm like, I don't know about that guy, so I just keep rolling because if you watch I'm into the serial killer culture, and Ted Bundy is kind of, you know, he's on the Mount Rushmore, for lack of a better term, of serial killers, and Zac Efron played him in a Netflix original, and it was fucking awful.
Was it?
Well, I mean, most of those, I should have learned by now that Netflix original films are shit.
Not all of them. Some
God
are decent, some are
damn
decent.
it,
But
yeah.
but I have like a particular style of movie that like.
Well,
like
alright.
so. If you've seen fuck, I won't say Extinction. It's not Extinction. It's the fucking movie with Thor in it, Chris Hemsworth, Extraction, or Old Guard with Charlize Theron with a bunch of immortals. Like it's basically like think John Wick to the fucking extreme.
See,
and that's both of those movies. So they're really fun.
I got burned on them when they first started doing it.
Oh, okay.
And all right, I mean, I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm gonna say
it's definitely 50-50. It's a crap.
I don't think it's that far. I think it's 90-10.
Oh, okay.
Shit. 90-10 shit. Like 90% shit.
Yeah.
10% good. Like there was this one, and I forget what it was called, but the main character was a mute.
I don't know how that fucking works, but okay.
They did it, and I was just like, this is the least interesting fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And the character wasn't interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was an action type film. I mean, that tells you I've got a good memory, and I'm like, I have so blocked that shit out.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm like, all right, well, we'll try again. Then there was one came out called Titan.
I've actually got that on my watch list.
Don't. God.
Is that the one with the guy from Avatar?
Yeah, and he evolves into a Catman type thing, and they send him to the moon of Titan to survive because they're going to try to make all humans evolve that way because Titan has all this water. I'm not lying. That's the long and the short of it, and the film is his evolutionary process and how he becomes the Catman and slitted eye. Oh fuck! It is beyond bad. And then I'm like, fuck it, let's take another swing.
Yeah.
So there's this one, I forget what it's called, but it's post World War II Japan, or it may be during World War II. I can't remember. Jared Leto is in it, and it's about the Japanese mafia, and he becomes the white guy.
Yeah.
That movie is about an hour and 10 minutes too long.
Is it an hour and 13-minute movie?
No, God, no. It was like 2 hours and 20 minutes or some shit.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
just like, fuck.
I was just curious if it was that bad.
But it felt like it was 2 days.
Yeah.
And then they talk about The Irishman. Have you watched that shit?
Is that the Matthew McConaughey? No, that's The Gentleman. I haven't seen The Irishman.
The Irishman is Robert De Niro.
Oh, yeah, okay. I haven't seen it.
It's
but I know what you're
basically their explanation for how Jimmy Hoffa disappeared.
Mhm.
It was supposedly based on true story. All right. Well, I had to watch it in sections.
talking about. Oh, did you?
This film's over 3 hours long, and
So the dude that De Niro plays in that movie, like you said, it's based on a real story.
yeah.
The guy that he plays in that movie served in World War II in the 45th Brigade, which is the Oklahoma Guard
Yeah.
unit that I'm in. And so there's a scene in the movie where he's wearing a jacket, like his old army jacket or something like that, and you see the Thunderbird patch on it.
At least
That's the only thing I know
factually-
about the movie, but
At
I
least-
thought that was pretty cool.
At least they're factually accurate. This
Yeah.
thing, they talk. We've talked before about movies that are supposedly so great that
Mm.
you just can't finish and can't watch. And for me, that movie has always been Godfather.
Oh, yeah.
And this falls right, and it's Martin Scorsese film, and it falls right back in there with Godfather.
Mm.
And I'm like, God, this sucks so Like they told an hour and 20-minute story in 3 fucking hours.
Oh, yeah.
I had to and the reason I had to watch it in sections is because I kept dozing off. I couldn't stay with it. Oh, it's so great. It's so great. And then let's get to a good one. The Highwayman. Have you seen this? It's Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson.
I have not. I've seen it's in my watch list, but I haven't watched it.
It's actually good. I was surprised. It's about Bonnie and Clyde.
Okay.
It's surprisingly really good.
I'm a firm believer that if Woody Harrelson's in a movie, it's worth watching.
Well, he's in that new one, Midway, too.
Mm-hmm.
In the Midway remake.
Yeah.
He plays Nimitz.
Yeah.
But anyway, these dudes are hunting Bonnie and Clyde, and it's a good movie. But then you fall right back into the shithole.
Mm.
Netflix is so bad when it comes to the originals, and so that's where I get turned off from Zac Efron. I see him, and I'm like, yeah, no, click.
No, the documentary is actually really good.
Well,
But
now that somebody I respect has talked it up, I'm going to check it out.
and I thought you might. The reason I brought it up is because the whole documentary is basically like it's about saving the environment, being healthy, stuff like that. I know you've even said just on this podcast how big you are about saving the environment. But so to get us back on topic though, the whole documentary thing, and about watching to learn something new.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about kind of our philosophies. Like I was talking about Stoicism, something like that. And like yours is, anybody who's listened to more than 2 of our podcasts knows your whole philosophy on life is basically built around like acquiring knowledge and stuff. And so, what would you say your guiding philosophies are on life? Like, and not trying to put you on the spot, like naming actual philosophies like Stoicism or existentialism or something like that. But like, what do you feel like if you were going to say, hey, these are my principles in life, or these are the quotes that dictate how I react in situations, what would yours be?
Okay, well, there's 2 that come to mind immediately, and I've mentioned them in prior podcasts, but I'm gonna do it again. The first and foremost is the quote from an old high school teacher we had way back when, and he always looked at me, and he always had this smile through his thick glasses, and he goes, "Never stop learning." That has stuck with me from the moment I heard it, because it's so right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, it's a quest for knowledge, it's a constant quest for knowledge, because if you're not knowledgeable on something, if you stop learning, I mean, what is there to live for now? You know what I'm saying? I mean, because, I'm not saying that, like, you need to be a bookworm and you need to be a documentary nerd or research idiot like I am or anything like that. No. That applies to everything, because you have to learn, like raising a child.
Mm.
That child is going to teach you things. It's going to teach you, hey, you need to chill here. Hey, you need to do this. You need to do that. And you have to remember those things and learn them and do them. So never stop. Don't be bullheaded like you know everything. Never stop learning. The second quote, and is equally important, is evolve or die.
Mm.
Change. You can't be in this century with 2 centuries knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like 2 centuries prior knowledge.
Yeah.
You have to build on things. People in those times didn't know where the sun went. Now we know. We take it for granted. So you have to evolve.
Mm.
No, I'm not saying, I lived in the times where people didn't know where sun went. I'm not saying that.
No. But yeah, the example still stands.
The example is when the data changes, roll with the punches.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You evolve. Because if you say, okay, let's say we're on a boat, and I walk through the hole, there's no water. The guy walks behind me and there's a hole, there's water coming up, and he's like, hey, guess what? There's water. No, there's not. Yes, there is. No, there's not. Boat sinks, we both die. Evolve or die. Go back and look and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So those two phrases interlock.
Yeah.
Because you never stop learning, and that learning makes you evolve.
Yeah.
Makes you a better person. Makes you smarter on a subject, or makes you at least knowledgeable of the subject, so you can place yourself in that situation.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't say that I can experience the same thing that other people would experience, but I can relate to some of those things.
Yeah.
And doing those things, that's my philosophy in life. Is, keep it coming, keep it going, because the minute you stop learning, you stop evolving, you're dead.
Yeah.
No, especially on a mental level, you're dead. Either your mind is shut off, or you're physically dead.
Mm.
So that for me, that's it right there. Those 2 things.
Yeah.
And it's very simple, but then again, it's not.
No, you're right. Like, those are they're hard for a lot of people. It's hard to maintain those 2 because you get comfortable where you're at. I know, like, it's not so much true anymore because of how the world's evolved. But I remember when we were kids, like, I knew people that never left Bryan County.
Sure.
And so they were completely comfortable at the level of knowledge they were at, because it didn't matter anything outside.
Well, that's all they needed.
Yeah, that's all they needed. And so I think those are high ideas or philosophies for people to meet, because people get to a level where like, all right, this is what I need to be where I'm at.
Well, it becomes a comfort level.
Yeah, to be where I'm comfortable, and so I don't need to do anymore. And I think that's one of the things that we bring to the whole like discussion and the podcasting table and like just the worldwide discussion, is your two quotes are very intellectual, like don't stop learning, evolve or die, you know, the constant search of knowledge. Whereas my guiding principle are much more on the moral side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Where like I would say my probably two, like I use it all the time for people is and I'm not a very religious person, but the quote from a Bible where it's this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's probably like, it may not be the guiding principle of my life, but it's definitely how I handle any situation I'm in. Is if it's a bad situation, shit's going to hell, everything sucks, it's just a constant reminder, hey, this will pass. Like the storm will break, it'll be a new day, you know, you'll get through this, it's not, you know, this isn't the end, you know, it'll be over. But then at the same time, on the reverse of that, the good stuff passes too. So
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it while you're there, because eventually the good stuff's gonna turn to bad stuff.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that for me, everything I do in life is dictated by that quote on a philosophical sense, because I'm always trying to be in the moment, good or bad, because I understand that eventually it's going to change. It's going, you know, my fortunes are going to turn for the better, they're going to turn for the worse, or something like that. And then the other one is, and I don't remember the whole quote. The purpose of the quote is basically, if not me, who?
Mm-hmm.
And so it drives my wife batty, but like, you know, being in the military with a couple of deployments and stuff, I'm faced with, I got 6 years left. And so I know at some point in time, the next 6 years, there'll be a deployment. And I've done 2 deployments to Afghanistan. I took a year-long vacation in Kuwait. And so there'll be a 4th somewhere on the horizon. And so when that 4th rolls around, because of the situation I'm in job-wise, and I've done several deployments and how the military works, somebody has to stay back and manage stuff. And so it's the way things are shaping up, I'm going to be in that boat where, like, if I want to be the one that stays back and manages stuff, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, my personality type is like, well, if I don't go, who does? So it's why I'm always constantly putting myself in, like, shitty situations or leadership situations or trying to stand out front of a topic, because if I don't do it, who will do it? And that's not necessarily like a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, you know, like say I decide to stay back and not mow.
Yeah.
Well, if the guy goes to my spot and something happens to him, you know, I know how I am. I'll be like, if I'd have gone, that wouldn't happen. He'd be fine and I'd be fine. You know, but at the same time, at some point you kind of got to step back and let other people go, you know, because you've done your worst. You know, it's like by the time my next deployment rolls around, my kid will be in high school. You know, I got 1, so it's either miss it and go or stay and don't, but not go.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what I do in my life is on a philosophical level. Like I typically tend to step forward in situations that even though I shouldn't, because somebody has to, and I'm a little bit cocky about how I am, and so I feel like I can bear the burden over other people, and so but I feel like that balances as well. You know, like if we were both like the super intellectual types and the knowledge types, this podcast would get boring really fast.
Oh yeah, there's no question.
You know, but if we were both like the philosophical types, people get tired of hearing it too, because it used to be a bunch of hippies talking.
Yeah, same old shit.
Philosophy, and so I feel like that's why people should listen to the podcast, but not necessarily listen to us, is because like you're going to get both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah,
of a topic with us.
And I also hope that somebody learns something, you know,
Yeah.
and pick something up that they, you know, never, like I said, we touch one person's life and they pick up a book they never would have, or listen to a record that they never would have, and, you know, introduce them to something that.
Well, and that's the crazy thing to me about this, is we can talk for 2 hours about a topic, and somebody can listen to it, and they listen to the whole 2 hours, and we don't affect them at all.
Yeah.
Except for a 15-second part where you mentioned like some cool quote you got from a book, and they read the book and it changes their life.
Yeah, I mean.
You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
there's like the whole podcast, like the podcast may not do anything to change somebody's mind, but a small throwaway sentence or throwaway book or documentary or something like completely alters the landscape.
Something I don't even remember that we said.
Exactly. And that's what blows my mind. It's like there's the possibility that we'll have much more effect with our ramblings than we do with the actual like purpose of the conversation.
Yeah, so there you go. That's why you should listen to us.
Yes.
So, in a nutshell, it's a big ass nutshell, but there it is.
It's a lot bigger than a pecan.
We could have squeezed that into a 40-second segment, but here we are.
Well, but that's, I mean, then it wouldn't be fun.
No, and you know, that's the thing is, that's another reason why we do this, is the enjoyment of it. Because we would be having these conversations on my back porch anyway. Or on your back porch, or wherever the hell we're at anyway. So, might as well publish it, you know? And you're right, if someone goes and picks up a book, or an album, or watches a documentary, or a movie, or something, you know, you could watch those movies that I thought were shit and just totally enjoy them. You know, you might be some positive aspect of someone's life for just a small period of time, and we had an influence in that, and I think that that's a really cool concept.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what I hope people get to listen to this episode, is not only why they why we should get more followers and they should listen to us, because I want people to listen to us, but also like the concept that like you can change people's minds and you can affect change in the world.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be rich or famous or a super intellect or something like that. You just have to be willing to have a conversation with somebody else.
For sure.
And you can change, it's the butterfly thing. You know, you change one person's mind, how many minds do they change?
Exactly.
And so don't be afraid to talk to someone and have an actual open, honest discussion with them. Don't run away with it just because you're scared of the topic, or you feel inadequate to meet the topic, or you know, or they believe vastly different than you, and you just don't want to have your beliefs challenged.
For sure. And here's another thing, and this is a grocery list, if you will. You know, these things that he just mentioned, and something else I've mentioned too is love each other, because this planet's only so big, and we have to share it. You know, you may not like each other, but you know what? You need to be supporting the good of the fellow man and things like that. Find common ground. Understand. You know, you may not agree with me, period, but you know, hey, I live here too, so. But you know, just love each other and have a little bit of respect. I'm not saying, you know, fall down and just go batty for somebody, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, be compassionate and understand where they come from, because you can't do that. You can't do that without having a civil discussion.
Yeah. Well, and on the reverse side of that is if you know, when you do what you're saying do, when someone doesn't respond the way you're hoping they'll respond, you know, and they respond like angrily or bigottedly or something like that, like, don't let that ruin your day.
Yeah,
like,
no shit.
Like, don't let that person influence your outlook on life and harden your heart. You know, understand, hey, that person's had some life experiences that have made them who they are, but I'm not going to allow them to change who I want to be.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to share those life experiences either. So that's where, you know, they're going to be clammed up about it, but they're going to be real hard asses too. And I've ran into that. I've been that guy.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of shit I don't want to share. And, you know.
I'm an open fucking book.
Well, we'll get there.
We will.
But, I mean, so if you ask why you should listen to us, there you go. There it is. There's the grocery list. You got, what, a couple hours of content to skim through.
A bit.
I rambled a little bit at the front, but hey, there we go.
Went down the Netflix.
That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
You know, we could start Amazon Prime rat hole if you'd like. I mean, I can go forever.
I watched that this weekend. The Boys season 2 came out.
Oh, it did?
Oh, fuck yeah, it did.
Oh.
And so that's what I'm watching this next week. I'm going to my buddy's house.
I
It's a trek to the city.
totally forgot.
Yeah, if you haven't watched The Boys, you need to watch it. It's
I
great.
totally forgot about that.
Oh, no, it's not The Boys. The Boys season 2 isn't out. Umbrella Academy season 2 is out. That's what we're watching.
I thought it was The Boys. That's because I was like, I haven't heard about this.
The Boys comes out at the end of the month.
Okay.
Umbrella Academy just came out.
I haven't
That's
watched Umbrella Academy.
Oh, it's fucking great. It's great.
This is Amazon Prime?
I think Umbrella Academy's on Netflix. The Boys is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, The Boys is the superhero one.
Yeah.
Or
So,
anti-superhero.
Yeah. I mean, that was crazy. I love Carl Urban.
So while we're on that subject, this can be a bonus part of the podcast if we want to.
Yeah.
There was a show, it was British. This was back when Hulu was free.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember this or not, but back in the day, you could get a Hulu account 100% free and watch all the fucking content.
Really? I don't remember that.
100%. Like, all the Seinfeld hung around in there, X-Files, all this shit. It just had a fuck ton of ads. Fine. But, what, 100% free? I don't care, right?
Yeah.
And Hulu, I remember when I signed up for this thing, I got an email from them. Because I just found it on, like I said, I was working nights, and so I had to do shit during the day to keep myself awake, to keep that sleep cycle going.
Yeah.
And so, what I would do is I would come home, and, you know, there's nothing good on TV during the day.
No.
You know, I'm not a soap opera guy. Jeopardy maybe, but that's not until like later in the day anyway.
Yeah.
So from like 9, and I would try to go to bed. This is when Amanda was working like 3 to 11. So I would try to go to bed when she left for work. That way, you know, we would get up. I would get home about the time she got up.
Yeah.
We would spend the day together. Then she would go to work. Then I would go to sleep, and I would sleep from like 2 to 11. So I would find things to consume my time to keep me awake, and Hulu just happened to. I don't even know how I found it. This is when Netflix was still basically mail-in Blockbuster.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there was a show on there. It was a British show called Misfits.
Okay.
And it was about these 5 kids who were criminals. They were on community service at this, like a YMCA type building. And this phenomenon happened. Like, I don't remember if it was caused by a meteor or something like that. But they each got a superpower.
Oh, okay.
And so then they basically, like, one of them got mind control, and one of them, you know. Anyway, but it reminded me a lot of The Boys, but not to that level. You know, they were doing good shit, but I mean, it was a pretty raunchy, funny ass show. But then again, for me, it was really hard to watch because if anybody ever watches anything British, it is so fucking hard to stick with it because the dialect and the slang is so like. It took me forever to understand what a fag was.
Yeah.
They're talking about cigarettes. I was like, what the fuck are they talking? And then finally, it dawned on me what the fuck they were talking about. You know, and I'm like, holy shit. Okay, so that's, and they're speaking the same language.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that much different. And I learned it there. But anyway, if you ever find that series, check it out. It's really cool. I think there's only like 7 seasons, maybe.
Oh, really?
Because it kind of ran out of steam about season 6.
Yeah.
And so season 7 was like, here you go, and
yeah, we gotta close this out.
yeah, we'll end it there. But anyway, back to the Hulu thing. When I got that email, it was like, oh, Hulu will always be 100% free. You can guarantee that. Yeah, no, it's not. But yeah, that's when there was 2 of them. There was Hulu and Crackle.
I don't remember either one of those really. I mean, I know Hulu now, but I don't remember Hulu being free, and I don't remember Crackle at all.
Crackle was mostly movies, like
okay.
old shitty. I'm not gonna say like too old, but like it was mostly just shittier older movies.
Oh, okay.
100% free. You didn't even have to have an account for Crackle. You could just get on there and just stream away, and it was chock full of ads too.
Yeah.
It was they were basically YouTube at the time.
Okay.
So they were the first streaming services that I can remember.
So since we're on the movie and television show topic, I was going to ask this last week in the music and books, but we got so into music and books that we never made it to movies.
Yeah, sure.
So, and we'll ask this question and then we'll start the process of ending the podcast because we're about at 1 hour or 2. But if you could tell people, hey, if you want to know who I am, go watch this movie.
The Big Lebowski.
I knew you were going to say that. I just wanted to get it out of there. Like I knew that was where that was going. Like as I'm asking the question, I was like, I know the answer to this already.
That is my all-time favorite film. There is no question. You know, a lot of people, if you've never seen it, it was a flop in the theaters.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was the Coen brother film, and they wrote movies like No Country for Old Men, Raising Arizona, things like that. Well, The Big Lebowski was their shot at comedy, and never really was a hit in the theaters, and never, you know.
But like, it's one of the most culturally significant movies
Of all time.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say 20 years, but yeah, probably all time. Maybe over 20 years now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Fucking it is like 25 or 30, isn't it?
Mid-90s.
Yeah.
I think like 96, 97.
Yeah.
They have
God,
Lebowski
we're so old.
festivals.
We're so old.
Yeah. They have Lebowski festivals.
Yeah.
Like, for the longest, until the wind blew it down, I had a poster of Richard Nixon bowling in my in my garage that came from a Lebowski festival in Louisville, Kentucky. I didn't go. My friend went, but yeah. If I was gonna point the movie to, and I took a lot. I mean, I'm very Dude. Like, if you've ever seen the movie, the main character's name is Dude, and I'm as Dude as they come. I'm laid back. You know, I don't get too excited. Like to drink. Have fun. You know, much like the Dude. So
There's a.
someone flip it. Where are you?
Mine's two movies. You gotta watch them both, really, I feel like, to get me. And they're both really old movies. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
I knew that was coming.
And The Quiet Man with John Wayne.
Oh, I wouldn't have picked that one. I wouldn't have.
Those are far and away, outside of the, like, how I view myself, far and away my two favorite movies. I've probably seen both of them 50 times.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, I knew, you know.
I've been addicted to that movie freshman year, 8th grade, something like that. We watched it in
Government.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, all right, I like this movie. And then I probably watched it once a year since.
I remember
Easily
that.
once a year since.
Yeah, see, I would have got that one, but I wouldn't have guessed The Quiet Man. I wouldn't have.
But I like the Quiet Man quite a bit.
I would have never. I figured you would have said, like, I don't know where you'd have went with that second, but I sure as shit didn't equate it to a John Wayne film.
Yeah, I'm not a huge John Wayne fan. I'm not a big Western, like, I'm not a big old school Western fan. I was always much more like the, I mean, I know Steve McQueen did some Westerns, but like the Steve McQueen genre of movies, like the old World War II movies and the World War I movies and stuff like that. I wasn't ever big on Western. Now, The Magnificent Seven, both the original and the remake are great, but yeah, I was never a huge Western fan.
I got beat to death with the old Westerns.
And that's what happened to me. I used to go to my grandpa's house after school because my mom was a nurse and dad was a coach. And so I'd go over there, and like going to grandpa's was the scariest place in the world and the most awesome place in the world.
I think grandparents legally were bound.
Oh man, my granddad is like John Wayne and Clint Eastwood, like scary. Like, what's the Clint Eastwood movie where he's like trying to run people off his lawn all the time?
Gran Torino.
Like he's like that kind of Clint Eastwood, like super scary. But like I'd get to go over there and he had like a collection of like historical weapons, like rifles and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'd get to go watch He-Man and Westerns and cartoons and play with rifles and get root beer floats and eat all kinds of fucking candy and then like avoid getting my ear bitten off because he was gonna beat me for like spilling a candy bowl or something.
Yeah.
And so it was like the greatest place and the scariest place all at the same time. But he burnt me on Westerns because we watched him fucking all the time.
See, my dad burned me on Westerns.
Mm-hmm.
My dad loves shitty movies. I've mentioned this podcast several times. I don't get it. Like, he will sit and watch the fucking dumbest crap, and I love him. I love him to death. But the blacker and whiter the Western it is, the better. I mean, like, clearly dudes that are not Indians, that are painted.
Yeah.
And clearly, like, I'm not even sure their horses in places. Like, I'm like, I don't know what that is.
We were at least watching like the monocolor Westerns.
No.
You know, the late 40s, 50s, 60s Westerns.
Every Friday and Saturday night on OETA at that time was, one night was Masterpiece Theater, which had the old, like, scary Crypt Keeper looking motherfucker that hosted it. So you had to watch that. Supposedly these are great pieces of film. I'm like, what the fuck? And then on Saturday night, it was OETA Movie Club.
Yeah.
And there was this fucking, I don't know if you ever saw this shit. There was the dude with the Jerry curl. Huge fucking Jerry curl.
Maybe.
older guy. I forget his name. I want to say he was a weatherman or some shit. But he was from Oklahoma. This was filmed in Oklahoma City.
Mm.
Oh, and it would take a break in the movie, and he would sit and talk about the director or some actor. And this motherfucker ate more popcorn. I ain't kidding. Like every time they would come to a break, either he was at the popcorn machine getting popcorn in the thing, or he was sitting in a chair eating the popcorn.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, is Orville Redenbacher sponsoring this shit or something?
You paid $5 a popcorn nugget.
So my dad, of course, granted, we didn't have TV.
Yeah.
That was it. You know, Friday and Saturday night, usually when the sports were on,
Yeah.
you know, some sort, you know, NBA basketball or something. My dad was not a sports fan.
Yeah.
So that's what we watched. So when I got a TV in my room, I was a pig in shit. But up until that point, I had watched that and the old British comedy, fucking Are You Being Served?
Oh, I was fixing to say the same thing. My dad watched that show all the time.
What is the attraction with old guys in that fucking show?
I never got it. There were things about it that were funny, because I watched it with my dad. But
it's in a department store. It's not funny. There's nothing funny.
It was a skit show that, like, wasn't really a skit, but wasn't really a show. I don't know.
It was a never-ending skit, if it was, because it was always filmed in that same fucking department store.
Well, but like what I mean, like, is almost like it was.
It was like Seinfeld before Seinfeld.
No,
but
no.
It was
What's
not
the guys that do like whose line is it anyways? Like well, you get on stage and you basically just get a topic and you just fucking free roll.
Oh, it's kind of like an ad lib.
Yeah,
I
not
know
ad
what
lib.
you're talking.
But anyways, like, I always felt like it was that. Like there wasn't a script. It was just like, hey, y'all are serious, but we're being funny. But everyone's a straight man.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It felt like that because sometimes you could see the surprise. Yeah, improv.
Yeah.
You could see the surprise on the people's faces that were, you know, the other actors. But God, that show sucked so bad. There was it, and then there was that one. It was on the English countryside. I forget the name of it.
I don't know. That's the only one I remember was the Are You Being Served?
Yeah, Are You Being Served sucked, and that was on Sunday nights.
At the risk of going down another rabbit hole. So my dad used a lot of movies to like teach me lessons. And I've said before on here, like my dad is basically like there's Mother Teresa and there's my dad.
Yeah.
And stuff. But I remember when my dad was talking to me about fighting, like he used a movie to teach me the lesson. And like it always kind of, I always knew it was a weird way to learn about fighting, but like the lesson stuck with me for the rest of my life. We watched Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. And you know, there's the scene where that big ass dude with this fucking Bowie knife, it's like, looks like a mini sword, basically challenges Butch for control of the gang. And, you know, to a knife fight for control of the gang. And Butch pulls out this, like, just little pig sticker. And this dude pulls out this Bowie knife that, like, is the size of my thigh. And they start circling each other, and they're doing the knife fighting thing. And then Butch looks at him and goes, whoa, 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 whoa. And the guy stops and looks at him. He's like, what? He's like, we got to talk about the rules. And the guy stands up kind of straight and drops his knife a little bit, drops his guard, and goes, rules. Butch rears back and just boot kicks him in the nuts. And this dude falls over and, like, just holding his balls. And Butch just looks at him and goes, ain't no rules in a knife fight. And, like, I didn't even know I was learning about fighting, but my dad stopped and looked at me and goes, that's how you fight. And that was the only lesson I got from my father about fighting.
That's a
and
fair
it stuck
lesson.
with me, was like, if you find yourself in a fair fight, you fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but like, I just remember my dad would always use less movies to teach me, and like, that's probably the one that stuck with the most, just because of how, like, I thought we were watching a movie hanging out, and he just looks at me and goes, if you ever gonna fight, that's how you fight.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, did my pacifist dad just tell me to kick it in the dick?
Well, I mean, whatever works, you know?
So.
That's good stuff.
But I think we're gonna wrap this one up. One of the things I do want to say though is, like, we're going to go on a topic run for the next few weeks over, you know, intelligence, like both IQ and emotional intelligence, talking about how social media plays a big role in all that, how society has changed our views on different topics and stuff. And so hopefully over the next few weeks there's a much more, I don't want to say controversy, but much more like heady, like in-depth type conversations and stuff, versus just the casual conversations we've been having as we've been learning how to use the equipment and getting a feel for everything and kind of putting out who we are and stuff. So I really hope that those of you that are listening keep listening, and the ones that start listening keep listening. And if you know people that might be interested in these kind of conversations, share and help us get the word out. We're always open to suggestions. Facebook, on Apple iTunes, Spotify. Leave a remark. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. I'm not saying we're going to change it if you don't like it, but disagreement is key to discussion. You can't improve unless you hear the bad.
Yeah, for sure.
But you can't keep doing the good if you don't hear the good. So if you've got an idea for a podcast that you think we'd be good for, leave a remark. I got a great one from a buddy of mine that's a chaplain's assistant in the brigade, wanting us to talk about their current statistics and stuff with the pandemic and the economy and stuff on suicide and depression and mental illness and things like that. That's leading and causing to.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping here in the future, as we get more comfortable with this and we get the equipment set better and we get a better schedule and stuff, that we can start getting those kind of things. So we definitely are always going to look out for a good interesting topic to really to get into.
Yeah, he touched on it. Group participation is encouraged in this. I mean, he's gave you a list of things we're going to talk about. And so if you've got any input on that topic or any suggestions on how to roll with that topic, or if you happen to be an expert in that topic and want to join us, let us know.
Yeah, if you think you'd be a great guest, let us know why.
I mean,
we're always looking for a third or a fourth to come in and share their ideas.
So this becomes a team sport now. So you folks in Brazil, I want to hear from you. What do you think? But yeah, so we're going to try to do something for everybody. So just like and subscribe and enjoy it.
We can't put it out yet because we don't have a set date, but we've got a great future podcast with a guest in store for a local business that we're really hoping to get on the books and get out
and
there.
That's all you're going to get out of us. Otherwise, if you know me personally, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But if you don't, stay tuned.
Be on the lookout for that one.
This one, we've been really working hard to try to get put together, and finally things are starting to fall into place. And I'm really excited about this one because this is a fantastic story.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be much more of a story interview podcast.
It's
than our
incredible to hear
awesome.
the story of this business and how things are.
Yep.
But anyway, that's just a little teaser. But we will drop that one, and that's coming. We just don't know when yet, but we're getting it put together. But thank you for everybody, especially you dudes in Brazil or women or whoever you are.
Yep. But
thank you.
If you don't like us, follow us, Spotify podcast or Apple Podcast, and on Podbean. We're filming this one, so hopefully if I can get it edited right without deleting it, we'll be on YouTube before long.
Tell your friends.
Yep, enjoy. Thank you.